Hello viewers, welcome to another series of Life Care Insurance and Financial. Under the business series, today we are going to talk about corporate tax planning. You know, in Canada, being an entrepreneur is always good because you can contribute towards society, towards the nation, as well as to your own family and self. And it's always good and you know, it's always a best opportunity for you to become the owner of your own business. What about the tax planning? What opportunities are available to the business owners, and particularly in the areas of pension management or pension planning? Today I have a very special guest with me. His name is Jean Laporte, and he's from INTEGRIS Pension Management. He's a CEO, he's a lawyer by credential, and today I'm going to ask him some very important questions about pension management. Hello, Mr. Laporte.
Hello.
How are you?
Very well, thank you very much.
Thank you. So my first question to you is, what is PPP? What is personal pension plan?
Sure. So personal pension plan is a type of registered pension plan. Now, if you think about registered pension plans, some examples that come to mind are something like the Teachers Pension Plan of Ontario, that offers retirement benefits to hundreds of thousands of teachers. There's the OMERS, Ontario Municipal Employees Retirement System, for all the people that were working for cities. So the personal pension plan is a microscopic version of one of those very sophisticated pension plans.
Oh wow. So it's basically a plan of a business owner. You can set up a plan for your own self as well as the key person in the corporation or the organization.
That's exactly it. So the rules that govern these plans make them extremely generous. So you get the best benefit possible under Canadian law. So what we've done is we said, well, the business owner could set up the exact same structure, but at a very, very small company level, so that the owner has access to it, and if family members are working in the family business, they would also be able to participate in the plan.
So how the personal pension plan can be set up? What are the components of it, and how do you define in terms of a person's profile who can actually set up a pension plan under a corporation?
Well, it's actually very simple. So long as you're collecting a salary or bonus, so T4 compensation from your business, you're a candidate as long as you're under age 71. So anybody from 18 to 71 who's drawing a salary, let's say, is a candidate for a personal pension plan.
Oh wow. So as an individual, you can buy RRSP and you can save money for your retirement years, but when it comes to a business owner, how a PPP can be a useful and productive tool as compared to RRSP?
There's really no comparison between using an RRSP to retire and using a personal pension plan to retire. Let me explain.
Yep.
With the RRSP, it's simple. You get one deduction for the contribution you make to the plan. So you get to write that off your income. And the money sits inside the plan and grows tax sheltered until you start drawing on it when it becomes a RIF, or registered retirement income fund. With a PPP, a personal pension plan, there are 7 additional corporate tax deductions that can be layered in to maximize the amount of money that you have for your retirement.
Great.
And I could talk all day about all the various contributions, but let me just give you one simple example. Let's say you have had your business for the last 10, 15 years, and every year you paid yourself a salary.
Okay.
With a personal pension plan, not only will you be able to make a contribution this year for this year's salary, but you can go back 15 years to the day you start collecting a salary and catch up and purchase past service. So you might end up contributing hundreds of thousands of dollars to your pension plan instead of the annual $25,000 or $26,000 that you're allowed to put in an RRSP.
Oh wow.
It's a completely different system, and the tax deductions are unheard of.
So basically, when you start your pension plan today, and based on your T4 income, as you said, you can contribute. So how it's different from RRSP? So one thing you just said that you can recapture the yesteryear's money, basically.
Last 20 years.
Last 20 years.
Back to 1991.
1991, exactly. And secondly, is the amount which you put into a pension plan, or the cumulative amount which you put into a pension plan, is more than, or is more advantageous than a RRSP
oh my
contribution?
gosh, it's many times what you're allowed to put in an RRSP. In fact, when we run some simulations for most business owners, typically we multiply the RRSP lifetime limit by 2.
Oh, wow.
So you double the amount of tax assistance that the Income Tax Act is providing you by upgrading from an RRSP to a PPP. The problem is people don't know about personal pension plans. Most people have never heard of them, so they can't take advantage of the rules.
Oh. So basically, it's really incredible the way you can use the money. And my second question attached to this one is, if somebody has already accumulated a lot of RRSP, and can he utilize that RRSP money to buy a pension plan?
Yes. In fact, that is always done when you're buying back those past service, when you're doing the catch-up payment, you're calling. So a portion of the cost comes from transferring your existing RRSPs into the PPP. But even if you're not purchasing past service, let's say you've never taken a salary, you've always taken dividends out of your company, we can still set up a PPP, and if you have RRSPs, you can roll them tax-free into the PPP, and then the company can now start writing off all the investment management fees, which you cannot do with an RRSP because that's prohibited by law.
Yep.
But in a pension context, you can take corporate tax deductions for paying for the investment management fees. So for doing nothing, all of a sudden you might have created $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 additional tax deduction for your business.
Oh wow! Yeah. So basically, the money which you take out of the corporation and put it into a pension plan also, is it tax deductible too?
Of course, yeah, it's a business expense.
Business expense. Oh
so
wow!
Fully tax deductible. And I'll share another secret with you. If you retire early, and that doesn't mean stopping to work, it doesn't mean stopping being involved in the business, it just means not taking a salary from the business but taking a pension from the pension plan. Okay, so you still maintain your standard of living. If you quote-unquote retire before age 65, your company, if it has the money, could contribute even more money to your pension plan in order to give you access to a early retirement pension that's not reduced and that's indexed to the cost of living.
Oh wow!
So you end up with more money sooner, and the company pays for that, and when the company cuts a check to the pension plan, it writes it off as a business expense.
Beautiful.
And that, in technical term, I'm a pension lawyer, so we call that terminal funding. This corporate deduction for terminal funding, the record that we've seen is a $2 million corporate tax deduction.
Oh wow.
If you were to count every single RRSP contributions that you were allowed to make, the maximum from 1991 until the present, it's under $600,000. And with one PPP deduction for terminal funding, you blow that budget out of the sky.
That's true, and it's humongous. I'm like, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, no. So why pay all this corporate tax when you can not pay it, put in your own pocket, and retire with your corporate money sooner?
It's like a diamond sitting on a seabed, and nobody's aware of like how they can utilize PPP to their best use, or I would say to best of their expectations as a business owner.
Luckily, your viewers are now going to know about it thanks to you. So
no, I really thanks to you as well. I just want to tell my listeners that viewers, that Integris Pension Management Corporation is a professional corporation of lawyers as well as a whole team which work for business owners, accountants, lawyers, and professionals to create a pension plan for them. And Life Care Insurance and Financial is a team who works on the financial management side, taking care of the assets as well as investments. And so my next question is, how a PPP can be set up? So what are the rules of that, and how Integris plays a role in setting up and taking care of the pension plan for the business owner?
Sure. So the first thing that we typically do is we prepare an analysis to quantify what would be the contributions required in order to give you that pension. So we look at your historical salaries, if you have any. We look at your RRSPs. We look at any carried forward RRSP room, so room that you haven't utilized that carried forward.
Okay.
We look at your age, and then we have software that allows us to map out over time what the corporation will be allowed to contribute.
Okay.
Not just this year, next year, and the year after, but also for the past. And in case you do that terminal funding that I was talking about, in case you determine that it's important to turn on the pension sooner. So all of this is found in an 11-page report that the financial advisor, often the accountant, will review alongside with the client. And once the business owner says, wow, I'd like to save all that in taxes, then we get the green light to put the plan in place. So then a separate team comes in and collects all of the support documents that are required in order for that PPP to get formally registered with the tax authorities and the pension authorities.
The CRA.
CRA in Ontario, the what we used to call FSCO, Financial Services Commission of Ontario. The name just changed a couple days ago.
FSRA.
That's right, FSRA.
Yeah.
So our plans are government approved and regulated by 2 levels of government to give clients more safety, to know that there's 2 levels of government that are asking us to produce reports every year to make sure that everything is done according to law.
Beautiful. So basically, as an incorporated financial professional or a doctor, veterinarian, or a business owner, you have a tremendous opportunity to open up a personal pension plan and utilize all the benefits which are associated with that. And since most of the pension plans are governed by provincial legislation, Integris is going to take care of all the paperwork for you. We're going to take care of all the investments, and we're going to make sure that that all the money which you bring on table for your personal pension plan goes basically or available to you when you actually need it. As you said, like you can set up your retirement age early as well. Now, as a business owner, there's always a thing in mind that if I do not receive any pension, if I die before receiving a single dollar from my pension plan, is there any succession planning in the pension plan?
Yes, quite significant planning opportunities that are available. And I'm looking now at your viewers that are in family businesses. If you're running a family business, the personal pension plan is perfect because, let me explain how it happens.
Yep.
The younger folks that are on salary and working for the family business are added to the parents' personal pension plan.
Oh.
Such that when the parents retire and they start getting their monthly pension check from the pension plan, should, and this can happen, should the parents pass away, all of the money that was earmarked to pay them this monthly pension, instead of being taxed the way it is under an RRSP, under the deemed disposition rules,
yes, sir.
We don't have that with a pension plan because it's considered pension surplus.
Okay.
Surplus because the money is no longer required to pay the pension since the parents are passed away. So what happens is the children, because they're part of the plan, this surplus becomes theirs.
Oh, wow.
So instead of giving half to the tax authorities the way you do with an RSP or even shares of private companies, it stays in the plan tax sheltered. And now the children get access to their parents' money.
So even they can contribute into that plan based on their needs as well?
Well, that's right. So a few things, I can get quite technical here, but because the parents passed away, there's a lot of surplus, at some point the tax authorities won't allow the company to keep putting more money in the plan.
Oh, okay.
But that's not a problem with us because under the PPP, the younger plan members would also have the option to contribute to what we call the defined contribution side of the plan. And when they do that, it allows them to put money in an RRSP. So they continue to benefit from tax sheltering through the RRSP system while all this surplus sits inside of the pension plan.
Oh, wow. So there's a fair amount of, I would say, succession planning possible with a PPP.
Yes, that's one example, which is probably the most important. But even if the children do not work for the business and are not added to the plan, if you pass away while you're building up your pension, what happens is if you have a spouse, the spouse gets what's called a rollover, the commuted value, the lump sum of money that was sitting in the pension plan for you, it gets transferred without any taxes to your spouse's RRSP.
Oh,
so that's
excellent.
One thing that can happen. Let's say you don't have a spouse. Then what happens is that money is divided between your designated beneficiaries.
Okay.
So they get the money.
Okay.
And if you forgot to designate a beneficiary, it drops into your estate. And then your heirs, under the will get the money anyway, but there'll be tax at that point.
But as a state efficiency question, if you have a designated beneficiary in a PPP, you can bypass the probate.
Of course, yeah. That's a given.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Because as a business owner, you are always susceptible to creditors, and you know, anything can happen at any time, and you don't want that money to actually go and drain.
No. In a pension plan is the most creditor protected vehicle under the Income Tax Act. It's more creditor protected than RRSPs. A lot of people do not understand or don't know that RRSPs in Ontario that are with banks, with credit unions, with mutual fund companies, with trust companies, none of those have creditor protection should you get sued and there's a judgment against you. Right? It's not like some Western provinces where there's extra legislation that protects your RRSP, whereas a pension plan is protected by the Pension Benefits Act of Ontario. It protects you from creditors.
Incredible. That's something interesting even I don't know. So if you have to summarize for the viewers the benefits and how they can take the maximum benefit out of the PPP, what is your last word?
Well, get an illustration done. Contact you and ask for a PPP illustration and see what the math tells you. That's the best way to know. I always say that it's more important to have the facts in front of you to make a decision than just to listen to people and see what they're saying. It's better to see the numbers, see all the tax deductions available, and then you can make up your mind at that point.
Thank you very much, Mr. Laporte, and I want to tell my listeners, they're effectively, I want to say less than 15,000 PPPs in place, IPPs, in place in Canada, and over 1.2 million business owners. If you're a professional, if you're a business owner, and you're looking to create a PPP, a personal pension plan for yourself, for your corporation, do talk to us, and we'll definitely help you to get one done. Thank you very much for coming on the show.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.